Prince Harry made a spectacularly rude remark to the press during the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's first joint tour, royal correspondent Valentine Lowe has claimed. Mr. Lowe recalled witnessing the scene as he was part of the press pack who followed Meghan and Harry during their successful tour of Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, and Tonga. Writing in his newly published book Courtiers, The Hidden Power Behind the Crown, Mr. Lowe said it is a standard part of the royal tour to have members of the royal family venture, while on a shared aeroplane, in the seating area reserved to the journalists in tow to thank them for their coverage and work. The royal rota had been informed Meghan and Harry would do this on a 5-hour flight bringing them from Tonga to Sydney, and the Duke and Duchess appeared after the plane had landed. The Duke gave Mr. Lowe the impression he didn't want to perform this traditional duty, as he looked like a sulky teenager, forced against his will to talk to some unwelcome visitors. Mr. Lowe, who had travelled through Oceania as the Times correspondent, added the Duchess smiled benignly to the press but let her husband do most of the talking after a polite exchange. The royal author wrote in his book, Harry sounded rushed, as if he couldn't wait to get back into the first-class cabin, away from the media. "Thanks for coming," he told the assembled press pack, "even though you weren't invited." Even for a man who has a deep mistrust of the press, this was spectacularly rude and incorrect. The media very much had been invited to cover the tour. Mr. Lowe went on to claim the Duke was later briefed by his staff on how badly his remark had been received by the press pack. He wrote, later, Harry's staff, who had spent much of the flight trying to persuade the Duke to speak to us, told him how badly his remarks had gone down. He replied, "Well, you shouldn't have made me do it." Express.co.uk has contacted representatives of Meghan and Harry at Archer for comment. Don't miss Prince Andrew comeback as Charles won't ever allow return, report, Meghan and Harry's plea for help ignored in first year of marriage, expert, Dan Wootton sparks uproar with tasteless Harry and Meghan remark, clip, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's first joint tour was reported at the time as a wide success. Both Meghan and Harry were a big hit in Australia, where they attended among other events the Invictus Games Sydney, held between October 20 and 27, 2018, and were warmly welcomed also in the other countries they visited. The tour itself started with one major announcement, as the world was informed the Duchess was pregnant with the couple's first child, Archie Harrison. 2 years after this tour was completed, the Duke and Duchess were already settling down in California, having stepped down as full-time working members of the firm. Meghan and Prince Harry announced on January 8, 2020 their intention to create a new role for themselves within the firm. They outlined they still wanted to carry out royal duties and represent the Queen but also desired to become independent from the sovereign grant, a move which they hoped would diminish the public scrutiny in their lives. However, this half-in, half-out solution was not deemed workable by the most senior members of the firm and, following a summit held in Sandringham a few days after the first bombshell statement, Harry and Meghan agreed to step down from their senior roles. This move,